Hello everybody, Martine here. This is my very first radio show. I'm really excited and I'm hoping to be able to bring some interesting topics and some dynamics and be able to actually interview people as well along the way. But first I want to give you a little bit of an insight about me. I'm been studying for about 25 years. I can't believe it. Quite silently, I have to say, and sort of behind closed doors and just really knuckling down in my spare time, just being curious and wondering what life is all about. And that's how I started. And from there, I kind of found that my whole energy started to shift. The more curious that I got in life, the more open I came to receiving information. Now that might sound quite strange, but it really did happen like that. And when I started receiving this information, I kind of started getting really sort of palpitation. My heart was beating quite fast, thinking, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And, I wonder if everybody else knows this. And early days, I really didn't have the types of people around me to be able to share the information with. Their kind of enjoyment and the way they saw life was completely different to the way I wanted to go with mine. So over time, we kind of lost a lot of people along the way. Not because we fell out for any particular reason, but just because, my vibration was changing. And as I've noticed again throughout life, the more you change your vibration, the more certain people just will not exist within your life because they can't exist once you change your vibration. They can only exist if they're on that same level and frequency as you, which throughout the radio station I'm going to explain a lot more about. So 25 years ago I started sort of being curious, and then 10 years ago I come across an amazing system which was just blown my mind, and I use that now for my business, and it was the Human Blueprint. And it was called something else then, but I practiced on it. I had one-to-one tuition from the person who developed the original, and I've developed my own system from that, because there were some little flaws in the original one and there was things that I still needed to know. My curiosity, my Human Blueprint, was more about delving into the depths of the intricacies of what goes on behind certain programs and certain curious ways that we think and certain vibrations. It's just me. That's what I like doing. So I've spent all this time delving into the workings, hidden sort of knowledge that's not been put on social media. I've kind of waded through it, found out which was a bit of a red herring, found out which was not really of interest to anybody, or we were being blindsided by certain information. So I spent a lot of time, a lot of years scrutinising, and validating what the information that has been put out there and what was hidden, and finding out the real stuff that was the gold, really, the real things that were making things change, and the real vibrations and the real frequencies and the real ways of thinking. And there's lots of it out there, and that's brilliant, because we'll never be stuck for finding somebody to listen to or to kind of learn from. But it all depends where we are. And as I've noticed throughout my journey, some people are ready for me, some people are not. But those who are not, there's plenty of other people out there that can take you to a level where you are right at that moment in time. So for me, what I wanted to do is create a little radio station as an extra piece for my social media, to really go down into the nitty-gritty of stuff and start having some really good, fun topics on what it is that I've developed, what I know, and how I feel it can help you throughout your journey. So that said, let's get a look at what it is going to be about today. So I've decided to call this particular topic today, and are you entangled in so much that you can't figure out what to do? Now, over my years of working with people on the Human Blueprint, I've kind of observed and listened and discovered that most people, when they're actually trying to find out and discover where they are, There's so much going on that there's no way on this earth at that moment in time they can just walk into a vibrational energy that's going to change their life forever. So I don't want to disappoint people when I say that, but I want to be real and be honest. I've seen a lot of stuff out there that's saying that you can change within so many days, within so many minutes, within so many weeks and whatever. But thinking about it, you know, on the long term, it's a bit like a diet. You know, you can get a fad diet, you can lose weight for a few minutes, you can lose weight for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden your habitual traits, they come back. Why? Because really you're not finding out the real reason for why you got there in the first place. You're not also kind of committing yourself to it because you're following something rather than actually training to understand yourself and follow yourself. And those people who really are successful with the diets are the ones who commit to a complete lifestyle change, and they are honest with themselves. They don't do the cheats, you know. They go through the struggles and the challenges, knowing though at the end of it it's going to be worthwhile. And if you're one of those people that just thinks, you know, changing your life is going to be a bit like changing the diets that you've had that have never been successful, then, you know, you're always going to be coming back to, you know, that doesn't work, this doesn't work, and, you know, going back to the drawing board and trying to find out somebody who can help you or somebody that you can follow to help you. So what I want to do throughout the radio stations and the radio talks that I'm going to be doing, and hopefully, like I said, interviewing people to give you their perspectives as well, is to try and give you some motivation, some tips and some ideas and ways to be able to actually fine-tune yourself. Now, the way you can do that is really just by listening to somebody who you relate to, somebody who has got your sense of humour, somebody who gets what they're saying, even if you don't think you fully understand yet, but you can hear something within what that they're saying that can give you that, actually, I want to listen to that person a little bit more because eventually I will get to it. So, you know, this is where I want to go forward now with what I'm doing. I've got a clinic where I have people who come to me and have treatments for energy treatments, looking at how their energy blockages are in their system. I also have people coming to me where I read their human blueprint. I do that over Skype. And you know, I can do one-to-ones and I do parties as well, but the majority of my work comes from Skype. Because, you know, you can sit in your own home, you can get a brew, you can sort of have a coffee or a cup of tea, a glass of wine, and you can relax and just listen to, you know, the tools that you've been born with, and I present those to you. So when we're looking at now, with these tools that I've developed, I think we can look at how we get entangled, and how we get so much in our heads, in our minds, around us. Every time we kind of walk out the door, we set out with a good intention, and then all of a sudden something happens. So I want to look at that now. Why? So, and why do people take you for granted, and how can you stop it? You know, there's lots to do here and lots to work on. So these sort of radio clips will hopefully give you a little bit to think about. I'm only keeping them fairly short because too much information on too many things again can have a sabotaging effect and go back into your entangled mindset and web, sort of like a spider's web that's around you. You can feel like you're on cobwebs everywhere. So I just want to kind of bring it down and do a little bit of a talk on one particular topic, and then invite people to ask me questions. So I'm hoping you're going to enjoy these radio talks. I'm hoping eventually you're going to be able to tune in and ring through and ask me some questions, and I will be able to answer you. If I can't, I know a man who can. But But, I'm hoping we're going to get somewhere, because I think it's time now in our lives to actually start really looking at the issues that are preventing us from getting where we need to go. So let's have a look first of all. When I said the beginning's going to be, are you entangled in so much that you can't figure out what to do? I reckon there's lots of people out there. I remember myself being like that. So when I've spoke with people doing the blueprint, there's lots of people out there just saying, I get what you're saying, but I don't know where to start. I think the reason is because we're not allowing ourselves to actually spend any time with ourselves. So if you can't spend time with yourself, or you're feeling uncomfortable, or you're feeling bored, then for me this is the first place we need to start looking at. What is it that you don't want to resonate with, or you don't feel comfortable with, by having that silent moment, by having that quiet time? Is it because you've spent so many years being around people 24/7 that now you just feel a bit alienated with yourself because you don't really know who you really are? Why don't you know who you really are? 9 times out of 10 again, is because you've allowed everybody else to come in and take your energy. You've also allowed yourself to go in and take someone else's energy. We do this on a daily basis because our mind is so busy. Have you ever been driving down the road, and next minute you want to go one way, but all of a sudden you find yourself somewhere else? Why? Because your subconscious mind kicks in. When your subconscious mind sticks in, it's basically telling you that you're thinking too much, you're overthinking. So you've got somebody behind you, sort of in your software, in your programming, that is constantly really using using your energy. Bit like a computer. We have a computer that's kind of always got something running in the background. And eventually, if we don't get our computers checked out and we don't put that correct software in there, like a firewall or something to protect an antivirus, we end up getting a virus, we end up getting hacked, we end up having to get a new computer. The difference is we can't get a new body. So what do? We need to look at, how do we get to a place where even if you spend 60 seconds just being by yourself a day. There is something actually that I heard about the other week, was that there's a test that you can do, that if you just spend 60 seconds doing something 1 minute, you've got more chances of succeeding. I think the reason why a lot of people don't succeed is because they pick out too much a big of a goal, too much they've got to do. I've got to do this, I've got to do this diet, I've got to do this, that and the other, and I've got to do it by this time, and you've not really planned it out, that you're capable of committing to that. I would challenge anybody to say that they can't commit to 1 minute. 60 seconds, put your timer on. Sit for 60 seconds, don't answer your phone, don't look at your phone, just sit for 60 seconds in a quiet place, either in your bedroom or when everyone's gone out, or just take yourself off down to the park. Just sit for 60 seconds and do not speak to a single person. And then listen to what you're saying. You'll be surprised, because you will go on and on and on about he said that, she said that, and he did this, the little one's done that today, that one's happened here, I should have gone there, and you'll just have all that kind of conversation, that narrative going on. This is mainly what is there. It's not all about, being entangled with so much why you can't figure out what to do. The reason being is because it's not just, others, it's what's going on in your mind. It's what you're not allowing yourself to get rid of. And the reason you can't get rid of it is because you're never alone to do that. So think about it this way. If I said to you, can you carry this bag for me? Can you take that to the shop? Can you bring this in? And I'm asking you to do 1,000 things and you're trying to carry every single thing, because we're together all the time and I'm constantly asking you to do it, and you're constantly, just saying yes, yeah, I can do it. Eventually that's going to get far too heavy for you, and you'll either get really angry and tell me to do one or you will be like getting yourself so distressed and stressed out that you just think, I can't cope anymore. This is all to do with being entangled. This is all about creating everything around you that we're not allowing ourselves to get rid of. So that's my challenge for the week, is to spend a minute, just 1 minute, on not speaking to one single person, not watching the TV for 1 minute, not using your mobile phone, not using the computer. It's a challenge. 1 minute. Can you do it? I think you can. I think everybody can. And I'd love you to, message me on Facebook, on my page, on my A.N.S.A.W.E.L.L page, and, let me hear your comments, because I'd love to hear how you felt when that happened. Did you feel, oh my gosh, this is such a weird sensation? Did you feel like you were in heaven? Thank goodness. Did you feel you wanted more than 1 minute? All these things. What did you feel when you actually were given that 1 minute, one solitary minute to yourself? Let's listen to what is the next thing we can do. When we're thinking about people, sometimes we think, people are taking us for granted. How do we stop people taking us for granted? We stop letting people take us for granted by not taking ourselves for granted. We take ourselves for granted. We don't spend any time for ourselves, like I've just mentioned. We're constantly thinking, we're constantly doing, we're constantly chasing, we're constantly looking for the gold, we're constantly having the carrot dangled in front of us and chasing it. It's constantly moving away. We never ever give ourselves the pat on the back sometimes for being able to face ourselves. We can't stop people from taking advantage or taking us for granted if we do not allow ourselves to, encompass everything that is needed to move forward in life. Everything that is needed for us to create the environment that we want to create. So when we're kind of looking at this, we've got to come to a place sometimes and think, I'm not going to let people take me for granted, but I'm not going to be rude either. I'm just going to own myself. Own myself. How do you own yourself when you're so used to other people owning you? The way I kind of started looking at how I started to own myself was I did shut myself off. I became a hermit. That's not for everybody, because I did go down into the deep waters, because that, as I know now, is my vocation. I needed to do that to be able to pass on the little bits of gold, the tips, and like I said before, all the little treasures that I found by doing that. But we're not all like that. We all want to have a different type of life. We all want to have the experiences, and we want to share the experiences, but we want to be able to do that without feeling depressed, without feeling bogged down, without feeling that we've got to do something for somebody else. As you find out throughout these talks, a lot of this, some of the words I will repeat and I will repeat, because we need to understand that sometimes we only flip past in our vocabulary what we actually do for people. We end up spending more time in our actions doing it rather than thinking about what we're doing for other people. We go on autoplane. We go out there and just as soon as somebody comes into your environment and they're attached to your emotional state, you automatically find yourself doing something for somebody and then kicking yourself after. So when it comes down to people taking you for granted, are they really? Or is it you that is allowing them to take you for granted? I will say it's the latter. You're allowing people to take you for granted, and therefore they will. People won't get offended all the time just because you're turning around to them and saying, actually, you know what, I can't do it today, or I've got something on, and just walking, back into your own energy and continuing with what you've got to do. Because all that expended energy that is going out to other people that actually probably don't even appreciate what you've done, because if they're taking you for granted, there's no appreciation there. So when you're stepping into their energy, that's going to drain you. That's going to suck the life out of you. So it's important that we use our energy in the right way so we can walk through life, not only by thinking positive thoughts, but by being able to deal with life successfully when the challenges appear. Now, let's think about that. We've got a lot of information out there that is saying think positive. I'm not against thinking positive, but I believe you can't think positive 24 hours a day. It's impossible. And not only is it impossible, it's not recommended. Because with everything we have to have what they call a yin and a yang. We have to have a good and a bad. We have to have a right and a wrong. We have to have opposites for everything to function. So by thinking positive 24 hours a day, you're going to get yourself totally exhausted, and you're going to get that positive charge that's going to kick you right up that backside when you least expect it. You're going to be thinking to yourself, well, I'm thinking positive, but nothing positive is happening. Because when you're thinking positive, constantly you're a positive charge. What has to attract to a positive charge? A negative. When a negative passes onto a positive charge, that's when you get the energy. Now, it may not be the energy that you want, because it depending what you are attracting vibrationally wise. Because even though you're thinking about being positive, your actual software underneath, the software it's got its own program, is already sabotaging you with the real beliefs that you're thinking. The stuff that you're thinking positively over, trying to cancel out the stuff that's your negative stuff. Allow your negative stuff to come through. Allow it to be there, because when it's there, you're not kind of covering it up. You're not trying to shove it under the carpet. You're not trying to, wash it down the drain. You're not trying to pass it on to somebody else. It's not going to hurt you, because you've positively looked at it. So instead of burying the negative energy and trying to cover it with positivity, you need to look at the negative energy and look at it positively, not create a cancellation. This is my opinion. This is how I have managed to change everything that I was doing. I gave up a job one day, just walked out with a month's notice, and decided that was it. Now, I don't expect everyone to do that. It was my blueprint. But it's nothing to stop you from doing it, because I started to look at everything that was negative around me, and I changed it to looking at it in a positive way. Not by cancelling it out with a positive thought. I looked at that experience. What did it teach me? What pain did I get from that? Is it a pain that I want to go through again? Is it a pain that I know where it is, so therefore I know certain pain is we need, because we need to know what is going to be causing us a distraction, what is going to be causing us to defend ourselves. So we need to have the pain as well as the health and all the other things that go with the positive side. But we don't need to have the pain where it becomes unbearable and we can't get out of it. We just need to know that we can experience things in life. We may have to have a little pain and go and endure that. And at the end of that endurance, we get something out of it. Now, for all the women out there, it's a bit like childbirth. You can't stop halfway in between. You've got to go through it. And why do you go through it? Because you know at the end of it, you're going to get this beautiful little innocent, pure little baby that you are going to have to nurture throughout its life, that you are going to have to teach, that you are going to have to spend time with, that you are going to have to help through life to succeed, and all the other things that go with it. It's going to be the same when you're trying to change yourself to go to be the better thing, to go to be the place where you can learn and you can succeed, to be the person you want to be. It's exactly the same. And for those who out there who didn't endure the exact pain from giving childbirth, like I said, your body would still be in some trauma, no matter how the pain barrier was for you. But we're all different. However it is, we have to look at it, how we are perceiving everything that we perceive. We will perceive it, we will process it, and we'll project it in a different way to somebody else. And when we meet somebody who we can say, oh yeah, I felt like that, we feel, oh thank God for that, somebody's felt, the same way as me. And we attach ourselves, we create that person's vibration to match our own. But when we're going through life and we're looking at how we're entangled, we've got to look at the situation and allow ourselves to develop over that period of time. Allow ourselves to become untangled. If you can imagine the inside of a golf ball, those of you who have never seen the inside of a golf ball, I have once. I don't remember why, but I did see an inside of a golf ball, and it was just lots of elastic bands, all intertwined, all kind of around, and I mean, however that gets manufactured, I don't know, but they were all intertwined. But when you hit it, you could either hit it and it doesn't go anywhere, or you can hit it for miles and miles and miles. Same like people hitting us with their vibration. They can knock us a little bit, or they can knock us for miles. So untangling will take time. It takes time because life is all about experiences. Life is all about how do we get somewhere? How do we get somewhere? Not how do you take me somewhere? We've got our own navigation system in place. We need to use it. But like everything, sometimes we need instructions by somebody. We need help to read them. Throughout this series, this is where I hope to give you that help, give you those instructions. But I won't be giving you anything that you cannot do yourself. Because at the end of the day, once you learn it for yourself, that is when your life will succeed. It's like a driving lesson. You're not going to get someone else to take your test, because that's not you driving. So I want to wish you all a happy, happy day, or a happy, happy evening, or a happy afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye for now.